Just want to remind you guys, this episode is presented by PrizePicks. Download the app today. Use the code JUICE to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. All right, what's going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Your guys, Cody and Derek, back with another one, guys. Well, guys, the Indianapolis Colts have made some moves in free agency through the first week. Haven't really done a lot in the second week, but so far they have made 8 notable moves that we're going to talk about. That's, of course, some outside guys and a couple key guys they re-signed in free agency as well. So we're going to start from 8 and work our way all the way up to number 1. So let's start with number 8, Derek. And again, we have 2 different lists here. We have a lot of overlap here, but we're going to have a few that we maybe don't agree on. We'll have to see. But Derek, anyway, going to number 8, what do you have for the 8th pick here?
Yeah, so the number 8 guy is going to be Neville Gallimore. Of course, when it comes to the importance of this guy, again, he'll be that depth piece for you at defensive tackle, but there hasn't been a ton of production from him in the NFL since coming in. Gallimore was very highly rated or very highly respected when he was drafted into the league a few years ago. Just never quite got all the bells and whistles going. I think his most notable one was when the Rams, I can't remember which game it was. I think it was the Rams against the Minnesota Vikings. He did have a very excellent game in that one, but that's about the extent of it. There's really not a whole lot more you can go into with Neville Gallimore. Again, it provides depth, but how much great depth is it, Cody? I'm not sure. I don't really have a high philosophy on it right now. Overall, I think it's just the depth that you obviously need.
And I don't think in any way this will deter the Colts and what they do in the draft when it comes to this position. I don't look at Neville Gallimore as like a quality. Like, he's solid. I certainly think he's an upgrade from what you had last year, but that's not saying much. So he's an average player at this point, below average to average player. So he had some flashy moments in the playoffs, but yeah, on the whole, his career hasn't really done a whole lot. So I definitely would agree with you there. Neville Gallimore at 8. Now moving to number 7, another guy that the Colts brought in, and a guy that's probably going to be competing for a roster spot and be a special teams guy. We have Cory Ballentine, formerly with the Green Bay Packers, and a guy that played some games, Derek. He's had a few starts in his career, but primarily has been relegated to special teams. What are your thoughts on him and that ranking at number 7 here?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, you could potentially put him a slight bit higher on this list potentially, but I mean, what we're thinking is he's most likely going to just be a special teamer unless the Indianapolis Colts really start getting into the very bare depths of their cornerback room because of injuries. Most likely would never see Ballentine because he would be corner 5 on this list, maybe 6, so like it goes down a list. So you probably would never see him defensively. Again, like I said, knock on wood, that the Indianapolis Colts get like 2 or 3 injuries to their cornerback room. And, like I said, we had that issue last year. We're not going to have it this year because everyone knows you never have the same problem twice with injuries in that same position group. So, his role is very limited.
He kind of gives me TJ Carey vibes, if you remember that, like a quality depth guy that can play some good special team snaps for you. So that's the kind of vibe I get. So a guy that maybe could start if you need him to, but you're probably going to have a lot of injuries if he is starting, if he is playing significant time. So yeah, Cory Ballentine there at number 7. Number 6, another depth signing here, and I think one that is definitely important, Derek, for this Colts team, but a guy that ideally won't really see the field in 2025. That's Danny Pinter. And, Derek, to his credit, he, I think, has put together a nice little career here with the Indianapolis Colts since being taken all the way back in 2020. I mean, he's been kind of that spot starter, backup guy for pretty much his entire career. But, Derek, we saw him last year step in in moments when both Bordolini and Ryan Kelly were dealing with some injuries. And I thought for the most part, he held his own and played pretty well, all things considered. So you bring him in, obviously, with the loss of Ryan Kelly. He's going to be a critical depth piece in there, competing with a guy like Wesley French for that backup center position. But I think Danny Pinter's a solid player here, Derek, that you bring in as a depth piece and you keep him around, especially just because of, Bordolini played well last year in the time he was there. But again, he's only a second-year guy. So if you need Danny Pinter to step in, he's shown the ability to do so multiple times. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, and I think Danny Pinter has some decent position flexibility. I know that the Colts don't want him at guard ever, but if worst case scenario, Cody had to do it, he could do it. And like you said, had to step in last year as a center because you didn't have Wesley French last year who went down with an injury. So like you said, he's been a great plug-in offensive lineman on the interior for the Colts. And that's pretty much the extent of his role, and that's perfectly fine. But, you know that he will be there in the off chance that something does happen. And he fulfills the role relatively well. It's not like he's excellent, but, he's far from bad.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think when he does come in and he has to play a game or two, he's shown that he can be very consistent. He's shown that in his time. So that's great. And if you need him to, he can, which is definitely very important.
As we said, guys, today's episode is sponsored by PrizePicks. Now, what is PrizePicks? PrizePicks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. Instead of battling against thousands of other players across platforms, you're basically picking 2 to 6 player stat projections, and you're choosing more or less on those stat projections to be able to watch those winnings roll in. It's very easy. Do you guys want to play along at some of PrizePicks' favorite players like rapper Meek Mill and UFC fighter Sugar Sean O'Malley? Well, if you guys sign up today, you can find the community plays under the promos tab of the app to view the entries of some of the biggest names on the platform and be a part of that as well. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000 just like that with NBA, NHL, and college basketball entries today on PrizePicks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Like a lot of other things, guys, they also offer injury insurance, so your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. So if someone exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, that player projection won't count against you and the rest of your entry stays live. So it's great bounce back for that one. What I love about the app as well, guys, is it's not just sports like NBA, NHL, football, and tennis, and baseball, and all these other things, but there's also a lot of others that go into it as well. If you like to place entries on video game situations like Call of Duty, CS2, Apex, if that's something that appeals to you, there's a wide variety of sports and video games and everything else that you can place entries on. And I love how expansive it is. Even just looking at the NBA, there's entries you can make with turnovers, with points. You can do combo deals, dunks, field goals attempted, all of these different things. So there's just so many different ways to make money off of these entries. Be sure to download the app today and use the code JUICE to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup.
Okay, another depth signing, but a guy that I think, Derek, will play a primary role on special teams and has upside as a receiver, Ashton Dulin, the wide receiver. It seems like about every year, Derek, the Indianapolis Colts have Ashton Dulin. He's such a valuable piece to this core special teams unit, and a guy that, like we said, like if you need him to, he can step up and make a couple catches now and again. Like we've seen him do that when he's needed. So what are your thoughts there on Ashton Dulin and his re-signing here with the Colts?
Yeah, it's totally not a surprise by any stretch of the imagination. You obviously want to keep Ashton Dulin around as much as you can. Like you said, huge special teamer. He's so valuable to the team in that way. And, he's wide receiver 5 on the depth chart. So, like you said, very rare that you see him do anything offensively except for a few snaps in a game every once in a while. But yeah, that special teams ace has been ever since he's been in Indianapolis. So that's obviously very important to keep one of those guys, especially after you lost Grant Stewart earlier in the offseason as well. Was very vital to keep at least one of your aces around and healthy.
Absolutely. Now, I don't know, Derek, from here how our rankings stack up. So I'll let you give your number 4 here. Who would that be?
Yeah, I'm going with Khalil Herbert here at number 4. Again, that number 2 running back role could very well be running back 3 by the time that we get into the early part of the season. But as it currently stands, Khalil Herbert being running back 2 at the moment until we see what happens with the draft. Just Khalil Herbert is, such a good option as a running back for the Indianapolis Colts, complements Jonathan Taylor particularly well. And, I trust him a little bit more to carry a few more snaps from Jonathan Taylor than somebody like what we've had in recent years, or at least just the last year with Trey Sermon. Khalil Herbert is certainly no Zach Moss, but Khalil Herbert does have that starting experience. He's had a lot of snaps. He does understand how it works, and he definitely can do enough to take a few snaps away from Jonathan Taylor, hopefully, and keeping him healthy for more of the year.
Well, the last time that we've seen Khalil Herbert actually be available and actually get significant snaps, I mean, the yards per attempt speak for themselves. He's been one of the better running backs in that department. So for that reason, I'm not putting him at 4. I'm actually going Daniel Jones here, Derek, because ideally Daniel Jones doesn't see a snap. But I don't know. I just look at that and I say, this dude, I know there are reasons for it, but he's just not a good player. He's just not a good quarterback. He hasn't been a good quarterback pretty much at all through his career. And you're paying him what you're paying him, like $14 million. It could become more than that. And I don't know. I understand it's for competition's sake, but I'm just not a huge fan of Daniel Jones as a player at all. So for that reasons, I'm kind of putting him a little bit below this because in my mind, Khalil Herbert's actually going to play a little bit, right? I don't think Daniel Jones, unless he goes out and straight out beats Anthony Richardson, which I'm not going to say it's out of the realm of possibility, but I don't see him being, and even if he does play, I don't see him being a good quarterback. So I don't know. For me, I just look at that and I say I'm not just a huge fan of Daniel Jones at all as a quarterback. And that's just what it is. So, but then, yeah, Khalil Herbert, number 3, I do think he is a massive upgrade from what you had last year in Trey Sermon. And even if he is RB3, I still think he has a role here on this offense. And I'm intrigued to see how he helps Jonathan Taylor in this offense in general just be more efficient moving forward. And then we move to our top 2 here, Derek. And I'm curious how you'll let this play out. For number 2, who do you have?
Yeah, so I'm gonna agree with you on the situation here for 2 and 1. I will go Camryn Bynum at number 2. I like his utilization at number 2 for this spot. I don't know. The only reason I wouldn't put him at number 1 is because I don't know if he's quite as dominant in a certain aspect of the position as Ward would be. But again, Camryn Bynum just is such a unique player. You can utilize him in so many different ways. Again, you can ask him to be on a man assignment. You can ask him to play zone. You can ask him to read the offenses in a much more efficient way. And he knows where to be in the right spot a lot of the time. And again, also on top of it, he's been available, Cody, and that's another unique thing about it. And that's another reason I'm also just surprised that more people don't give the benefit of the doubt to Camryn Bynum, because he's been a very, very good player in Minnesota. And not only that, he's been available. He's missed 3 games in his first 4 years in the NFL. Like that's unheard of, especially for a guy that plays all the time, is almost an all-pro at this point and plays at a high level. That very rarely happens. So yeah, Camryn Bynum being at number 2, it's a testament to Charvarius Ward and what we think he could be.
And that's why Charvarius Ward's at 1, because he has been an all-pro. I mean, Derek, a year ago, or whatever, he was coming off an all-pro season. He was a guy that literally locked down the field, can lock down half of the field. It's crazy. The Colts have not had a corner like this since prime Vontae Davis. It's been over a decade at this point.
It's been a decade now.
It's been a decade. The Colts haven't had a player like that, even remotely close. As good as Stephon Gilmore was in 2022, I do believe that Charvarius Ward can be even better than that. I really do believe he can, and he was in 2023. And now that all that stuff that happened in 2024 with his daughter, he's had the fresh start that he needs. He definitely is a guy that screams confident to me, Derek.
Mm-hmm.
He's not overconfident to the point where it's like cockiness. He knows he's a good player, and he's going to play with that confidence. And I absolutely love that. And what it allows you to do on the defensive side of the ball compared to where you were even a year ago, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy the difference from who your number 1 corner was last year to who your number 1 corner is this year. It's pretty wild to me.
Yeah, and the thing is you've seen, if you're a Colts fan for even 15, 20 years now, you've seen the Colts have some really good safeties. Even in recent memory, Cody, I mean, Julian Blackmon's been a good safety. We've had a couple of solid safeties over the last few years, and especially when the Colts were, going to those 2 Super Bowls in the Manning era. I mean, obviously Bob Sanders and Antoine Bethea, those kinds of guys, those were the golden standard. And, when you talk about, I mean, obviously Darius Butler near that time, I mean, he was a very good corner, no doubt. But this franchise has not had a lot of lockdown corners. And, I mean, Darius Butler was a very good corner, don't get me wrong. He wasn't locked down, though. And, even Vontae Davis, sure, he was locked down, but he was only locked down for about a year and a half, and then things started going bad. So, you got a guy here that, can easily lock down. And as long as he remains healthy, I mean, he's going to be a vital part of this defense, and it can unlock a lot of things for this Colts defense that wants to be aggressive. And if you have a guy that can be one-on-one with the best of the best and get the better of them at times, this defense can look a lot different than it did last year.
Absolutely. It's so exciting to see. We've already talked about ad nauseum this unit. But yeah, guys, that'll do it for this one. Let us know your thoughts here on the moves the Colts have made, some of their key guys that they brought in, some of their key re-signings. Let us know all those things. How would you rank them? Let us know those things in the comments down below. But guys, that'll do it for this one. If you haven't already, be sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, turn on the notification bell, all that good stuff, so that you are in the loop when we drop fresh content just like this. But guys, that'll do it for this one. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, guys, go Colts.